Hello there and welcome once again to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds, where today I'm taking a look at the brand new Radspeed fairway woods and hybrids from Cobra. Hi there, Ryan Rastall here for Golfshake.com, and as always please hit the subscribe button to see loads more content from all of us here at Golfshake to help you play more and play better. So let's get into this new series of fairway woods and hybrids from Cobra. They're called Radspeed. Now, Radspeed is all about the radial weighting that is used throughout this family, and in the fairways and hybrids, that's no different. So we'll start with the standard Radspeed fairway. So we've got radial weighting in there with we've got an 8 gram weight at the front there, 8 gram weight into the heel section, so we've got 16 grams in the front there, and then we've got another weight here towards the back of the head, again moving CG further back. So this is going to make this head the most stable of all of the fairway woods that we're going to look at today. So Cobra saying basically that we're going to get extremely low spin, but also forgiveness with the MOI higher in this head than any of the others. So this weighting that we get and this movement of the weight towards the back, as well as repositioning it within the head, helps us to get the ball flight that we're after, really. So there's other technologies involved in here too. So we've got the hollow split rails here, which allow the CG in the head to move down more, so it makes these easier to launch, and also the face will be able to compress a little bit more as well. So in having these in having this system in there, so the hollow split rail system, it allows the leading edge of the club to flex by 70% more than it would do had it been a solid fixed leading edge on the golf club. So that allows you to, you know, if you hit the club towards the bottom of the face, we're still going to get really good ball speed. It makes the head quite forgiving as well. So aimed at the player that maybe doesn't hit the middle of the face all the time, but to be honest, it's going to suit probably the more mass market, really, when we're talking about golfers and the kind of handicap range that it's based on. Now, this also comes in a draw head as well, which I don't have today to have a bit of a look at, but where the weight is moved more towards the heel, so it's easier for that player who tends to have that bit of a slicier ball flight to try and straighten that up a little bit for you as well. So yeah, the Radspeed draw and the Radspeed are the most forgiving, easiest to launch, but also quite low spinning club heads. Now, you'll notice on here as well, we've got the CNC milled infinity face. So that kind of milling on the face that kind of comes into the crown a little bit, and also around the sole of the club and into the heel and toe there as well, kind of envelops the club head a little bit more. And this is all about precision. So it's about making this club face as precise as Cobra can make it, in terms of the roll and the bulge and the loft that we get on it. And it's just so much more precise than normally in a factory. You've got someone on a wheel there kind of hand polishing it, and obviously there is that element of human error there as well. The CNC milling process kind of eliminates that somewhat and makes sure every single face for every single golf club is as precise as it can be. So that is the standard Radspeed. Now, like I say, there's 4 models. This, the draw, but then there's also 2 tour models. So first of all, in the 3-wood, we've got the big Tour 3, which we saw last year as well in the SZ range. Again, we've got similar kind of technologies in there, but some are quite different. So you'll notice that it hasn't got the infinity face. It does have a CNC milled kind of face insert in there, but it's not the infinity where it comes over the top of the golf club and around the bottom, which, to be honest, I prefer the look of this when it's sat behind the ball, because you can't see that sort of curving over the crown of the golf club there. But it certainly has the more front biased weighting to try and help that player who maybe spins the ball more, maybe isn't quite as bothered really about trying to get higher launch. They maybe want a slightly more penetrating ball flight, and that's what this club head is going to give you. It looks great behind the ball. It really does remind me, and when you see the video when I hit it outside, It does remind me of the King Limited fairway wood that was out a few years ago, which I actually had myself and loved it. It was a really low spin, but quite easy to hit as well. And this reminds me of that a little bit, but also being slightly easier to hit. Now, it's a little bit stronger in terms of the flight, and like I say, we'll see that when we get outside as well. It's got the thin ply carbon crown, so by making that crown thinner, weight can be repositioned. It's called discretionary weight that we use and move around the club head so that we can make the performance slightly better. So it'll be better on off-center hits. It'll be slightly lower spin. The ball speed will be a bit higher. So Cobra are able to engineer that really nicely and make sure that this is a club head that appeals to potentially your better player or lower handicapper or better ball striker, but really someone who maybe wants a slightly lower or more penetrating ball flight. So to go with that as well, we have the Tour in the 5 wood. So more kind of smaller, more compact, kind of peanut shaped head, more traditional if you like. We can see the rails on this are a little bit more prominent because it's a club that we are going to use a little bit more off the turf as well. So it's got the hollow split rails, allowing the head to compress a little bit, but again, it's got the CNC milling just on the face rather than the infinity all the way around. So so we're seeing some very, very different but similar technologies in the fairway wood. So we've got 4 models there, some in the Radspeed and Draw that are a little bit easier to use, easier to flight, and are aimed more at your kind of mass golf market, and then the big Tour 3 and the Tour that are aimed maybe a slightly better player or slightly better ball striker, or like I say, someone who maybe wants to try and flight that ball down a bit. Now, when we move into the hybrid, so we've got both the standard Radspeed and we've got Radspeed 1 length, okay? So obviously we'll start with 1 length. So obviously this is more to complement the iron ranges that we've got on the wedges in 1 length. But you know, not exclusively for that. I've got plenty of people who have come for a 1 length hybrid or driving iron that don't have 1 length in the rest of their set. These are really, really good and easy to use. They've got the hollow split rail system again that we've spoken about in the fairway wood. Just helps lower the CG, get the ball up in the air, make it a bit more forgiving. And although they do launch quite high, they don't spin overly high, so you're able to control the ball flight quite nicely with these as well. Yeah, like I say, in the 1 length, they've got a variety of uses. I know a lot of people who, because they're 7 iron length, use them for sort of chip and runs and around the greens and things like that, bump and run sort of shots, and they're very, very versatile and fantastic for that. We see all the same technology in the Radspeed in the variable length. So we've got the hollow split rail system. We've also got the sort of radial weighting in the head as well. So it's kind of moved around there to really make sure that this club is as forgiving as possible, but also where we've got the technology in the head, it's working for you as much as it can as well. So we're going to get, you know, more consistency on off-center hits. We're going to get better ball speed. We're going to get slightly higher launch and lower spin. So all of these things are going to help us, and you'll see later in the video when we get them out on the golf course exactly how they perform as well. So all these products, I must mention, have Cobra Connect in there as well. So hybrid, fairway wood, the new drivers, the new irons, everything in Cobra has Cobra Connect. Now, if you don't know anything about that, we've done some videos on the channel which you can check out. Have a bit of a look at exactly what Cobra Connect is, but it really helps you to improve your game in many ways. So be able to get a better understanding of how you hit every golf club in your bag, all your distances, where you tend to miss, how many putts you tend to have, etc., etc. It's really a kind of very comprehensive system that you can use to help assess your performance and hopefully help you improve. And this is all integrated within all these golf clubs and comes as standard. So Cobra Connect is definitely something that is a massive advantage, a massive selling point really, as well as all the great technology that we've seen in the golf clubs. So we're going to hit some on the Trackman in here, have a bit of a look at how they perform, as well as take them out on the golf course, have a bit of a look out there and see, you know, in a real scenario exactly what they're like as well. So let's go hit some. So I've just hit some shots on the Trackman with all the fairway woods and hybrids. I'm now gonna go out onto the golf course, play a few holes with them, put them through their paces out there. Then we're gonna come back in, have a little bit of a look at the numbers, and I'll also give you a bit of feedback about what I found out on the golf course. So come on, let's go. So I've just hit 4 shots off the first tee here at Howley, so it's a shortish par 4 really, but it's maybe not one that you'd hit 3-wood off the tee all that often, but I did anyway, just to see sort of how they perform. So I've hit some with the big Tour 3 and just the normal Radspeed fairway, so and very different ball flight and different results with each of them. So with the normal Radspeed fairway, much higher flight that I was getting, really nice. I mean, I've hit the fairway with all 4 of them, which shocked me, to be honest. Nice little fade on the more, probably 2 or 3 yard cut into the middle of the fairway. So the 2 that I've hit with the Radspeed, we can see here. And then as we move up the fairway, the ones that I hit with the big Tour 3, absolutely love the look of that behind the ball. It kind of reminded me of the King Limited one that I had a long time ago. So we get this first one here, which was a good strike, but then the second one I hit, I've absolutely nutted it. So when I get up here, you can see it's well past this fairway bunker on the left, and you're looking at about a 30-40 yard pitch in here. So that's probably gone about 285 through the air. It's not ran very far, and you know, pretty impressive. You know, they felt great off the face, but that big Tour 3 really looked awesome sat behind the ball with that matte head. Absolutely loved it, and it came off the face quite dead, which I quite like the feel of, to be honest. It's a much more dull sound than some of the pingier, sort of more high-pitched titanium ones that you hear nowadays. But yeah, it felt absolutely lovely. So firstly, let's talk through the fairway woods. Now, I've hit both the big Tour 3 and the standard Radspeed fairway out there on the golf course. And although I like them both, really did, you'll have seen when I looked down that, when I hit those ones down the first hole, I had a bit of a look at where they finished. For me, the big Tour 3 seemed to work slightly better. As I said, it kind of reminded me of the King Limited one that I had a few years ago. Really liked the look of it behind the ball, and the ball flight I got with it was awesome. I hit a really nice little high fade with it when I was out there on the first, and distance-wise, it was absolutely brilliant as well. Both feel great. Now, one thing I would say, it's not a criticism, but there's not much continuity in terms of looks. So we've got the standard Radspeed 3 wood that's got like a gloss finish on the top. Then we go into the big Tour 3 and the Tour, which have got a matte finish. Now, some of you will like that, some of you might not. I would personally want all my woods to look the same, and although, you know, if I was getting fitted for them, I would probably go for the matte finish all the way through. If I went for a hybrid in that, and it was variable length, that's got a gloss finish on it. So there's not that continuity through the set. I'd like to see them all the same, if I'm honest, if I'm being picky, but maybe that's just my golf OCD, I don't know. That has no bearing on the performance, which was absolutely brilliant with both. Standard 3-wood in the Radspeed did go a little bit higher and not quite as long for me as we saw out there on the golf course, but it felt great. The flight was completely different, and it's kind of what I expected to see, to be honest. Now, when we look at that with the Trackman numbers that we've got here, so if we just compare, so I've got the Tour 5 wood up there as well, which we'll talk about in a second, even though the lofts aren't really comparable. But if we look at the Big Tour 3 versus the standard fairway wood, we can see there that for some reason I was getting a bit more speed with the Big Tour 3. Now I don't know why that is. Is it a bit more aerodynamic? Was I swinging it a little bit better? I don't know. I've literally hit these shots within a couple of minutes of each other, so there shouldn't really be that much difference, but we can see there's quite a big difference in the distance, and that's certainly what I was seeing out there on the golf course. So we're hitting nearly 260 versus about 245ish really with the standard, purely because of the ball flight. We were getting slightly higher flight with the standard Radspeed, but the Radspeed Big Tour 3 a little bit lower flight, and it was just carrying that a little bit further, and obviously the total distance is up there as well. So yeah, really enjoyed hitting it. Both of them feel great and look great. I think in terms of the forgiveness, that is there a little bit more in the standard Radspeed. Probably a bit easier to hit off the ground as well, whereas off the tee, I think that Big Tour 3 would be an awesome club off the tee, for me particularly, but it's much lower launching and spinning, and certainly when I looked at the ball flight out there on the golf course, it was very easy to see the difference between the two. Now, if we just touch on the Tour 5 wood there as well, it's just got such a tiny head. I don't know whether, for me, it just scares me trying to hit it, to be honest. I mean, this Tour head is one that's been developed for Ricky Fowler, and he is possibly one of the only people that can hit it. It's quite difficult to use, although it does look great, and the kind of more traditionalists out there and golfing purists will love the look of this, because it is quite small, more of that kind of peanut shape, almost like the old PT kind of fairway woods that you used to be able to get, so much smaller, but then obviously with that you don't get the forgiveness. And although I've hit some good shots there, look, so about 240 yards, so it's only just down on where I'm hitting the standard Radspeed 3 wood. The flight was much sort of lower and more penetrating as well, kind of akin to what I'm seeing with the Big Tour 3. But yeah, overall, all the fairway woods feel great. Some are a little bit harder to hit than others, and that the standard Radspeed fairway is just very, very easy to launch and control as well, and the forgiveness is there massively. But if it was me getting one, the Big Tour 3 literally jumped straight at me, and when I hit the shots out on the golf course, they were brilliant. So let's move on to the Radspeed and Radspeed 1-length hybrids. Okay, so tried them out on the golf course as well as hitting some shots in here beforehand. We can see the numbers here from the Trackman. So whilst you can see there's quite a big difference in the total distance, which you'd probably expect there to be. They were exactly the same loft, but you can see I'm probably about 10 yards longer with the variable length one. Now you'd expect that with that extra shaft length in there, but one thing you can see here quite clearly is the accuracy is hugely different. And when I hit the 1-length one, both in here and outside, I just felt like I couldn't miss with it. It literally, because it's so much shorter and it's that 7-iron length, if you can get your head around that and kind of get used to it, I think you'll fall in love with it very quickly, because it's just so easy to hit, and you can hit it from a variety of different positions. And whilst it doesn't go as far, the precision that you get with it is unbelievable, to be honest. I mean, I've tried 1-length clubs before, and I'm not really a hybrid fan either, to be honest. I've never really found one that I really like, but that one, just from the minute I hit it, I was just hitting the same ball flight pretty much every time. And as you can see there, it's kind of backed up by the Trackman data, so the dispersions were really close together as well. Obviously, with there being that disparity in shaft length, that we're going to have a bit of club head speed difference as well. So 94 miles an hour, it's a 7-iron length. That's pretty much how fast I swing a 7-iron. Whereas you can see with that little bit more shaft length, we're going to get a bit more club head speed, and that's contributing to that distance. But both felt great. I just felt when I used the variable length one, I was a little bit more inconsistent. So I hit some really good ones that were right out there, you know, your 230 mark, and then I'd hit one where it was just a little bit right and a bit high and a bit spinny and didn't go quite as far. Whereas with one length, I was literally, they were on top of each other. Every single shot I was hitting was really consistent. And I certainly found that when I was out on the golf course as well. I hit a few into our 10th hole from about 210 yards, and they were just towards the back of the green there with the one length, and I hit one in the front bunker and one out the back, and missed a couple with the variable length. So like I say, I'm not a player who uses a hybrid anyway, and I've never been one who's that comfortable using them, but the one length one, literally as soon as I hit it, it was just so easy to use. And both of them feel great off the face. The ball flight is lovely, and if you're a player who uses hybrids all the time, definitely consider them because they're so easy to use. And I think the rails on the bottom just make them so easy to get in the air and quite forgiving as well. So they're definitely ones you should be trying. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I've certainly loved testing this entire Radspeed range, and particularly the fairways and hybrids, getting them out there on the golf course and testing them and looking at the different ball flights. I really enjoyed, as well as hitting them on the Trackman and seeing exactly how each model performs. And certainly when we've looked at the performance on there, it kind of backs up what they should do as well. So if you've got any more questions about custom fitting, anything about Radspeed, please pop them in the comments below. We'll try our best to answer them all. We love seeing all your comments. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we'll see you all very, very soon.